Hi everyone from Cardiac Radio. Here we are again to talk a little bit about Spiritist reflections. And we are going to talk a little bit more about the situation we've been living, and many of us have been living in quarantine because of the circumstances that we have been facing. And of course, it's well known, the sentence that says that we are being forced to take a look at ourselves in our inner side. And this is very interesting because I think life now and then has to do something like that to us. Otherwise, we are so much attached to the physical world. We are, according to the spirits, much farther from the spiritual side of life and much nearer to the physical and animal side of life. But what matters, what is really important, is that our spirit is getting older on this planet. And if we don't go for the spiritual things, our spirit gets hungry, gets thirsty. And this hunger and this thirst can damage our life if we don't nourish it. I remember Cardiac Radio motto, nourish our souls. So we are being invited to this kind of knowledge. And in Spiritism, everything is about the spirit indeed. Not that matter has no importance, but we need to start looking at the spirit and looking at matter from the spirit point of view. For example, charity. Spirits say, right, that we don't understand charity very much, right? The word charity is so confusing to many of us that they painstakingly and tirelessly write about charity all the time. And Allan Kardec, in the Spiritist magazine, the Spiritist Review, he said, yes, charity is a confusing word, and there are two kinds of charity in the Spiritist viewpoint. The beneficent charity, beneficent in British English, beneficent in American English, I guess, and benevolent charity. Beneficent charity is the charity of giving food to the hungry, giving medication to the sick, giving teachings to the ignorant. This, outward charity we usually do very well sometimes. Very good. But Kardec says there is also the benevolent charity. The one that comes from the heart. The one that comes spontaneously. And this one, he says, is the Spiritist charity par excellence. But why is that? Oh, I think it's logical because we can be charitable, physically charitable, but not necessarily be benevolent. And this is a problem to our spirit. But when you are benevolent, you end up being beneficent because you will feel compassion, you will worry about people, you will dedicate your life to other different causes than yourself. So let's stop being charitable, being beneficent. No. Because when you are beneficent, you start getting married to wash away a lot of karma, to clean your pathways in this and in other lives ahead. But if you're not careful, you can be doing this for centuries and not getting in touch with your inner soul to understand that you're not a benevolent spirit. You're full of hatred, prejudice, self-interest in many ways. Let's take the example of the Pharisees. Why was Jesus Christ so worried about the Pharisees and criticized them so heavily? And he said, look, you are very beautiful on the outside, but you're full of, dirty things inside. And according to these historians, and researchers, and even Emmanuel says that in one of his books. He says that the Pharisees were very, very outstanding, very nice people, outstanding personalities of society. Men that did good. They were charitable. They nourished their families very well. They paid their taxes, very well. But Jesus was not pleased with their behavior, because he said that inside they're full of dirty thoughts and feelings, paraphrasing of course. So this is a time for us to understand, and it's an opportunity to understand how really charitable have I been? Am I a forgiving person? Because we like doing the outside things a lot, because they can also delude us. Emmanuel says a sentence that I think is very important. He said, he wrote one day, discipline precedes spontaneity. Discipline precedes spontaneity. Yes. Many times we have to start being charitable on the outside first. Because if you don't start there on the outside, we'll never become charitable on the inside. But if you're not careful, we'll be doing things on the outside for centuries without touching our hearts. And we'll become Pharisees in the future or in the present. A person who has a lot of discipline of doing things to the outside world, but doesn't touch the troublesome feelings that have been going on for many, many years, right inside their hearts. Emmanuel has a message in his book. I don't know if there's a translation in English, I'm sorry. The book is in a free translation called the Vineyard of Light, and he has in the unit, in the sentence 110, in the lesson 110, he says, which is entitled Essential Charity. I translated a little bit of the part of the message. It's a long message, so I wouldn't like to read it all for you here. But listen to what he says about this essential charity, which is the benevolent charity I think Kardec refers to in his Spiritist review. I guess from December 1868, I guess, not sure. But listen to this. Emmanuel says, everyone and in all walks of life, charity will always be a source of divine blessings from the Lord, no doubt. The one who gives bread to the hungry and water to the thirsty, medication to the sick, and enlightenment to the ignorant will be cooperating in the construction of the divine kingdom, no matter which sector of the religious faith that individual may belong to. The compassionate and fraternal voice that sheds light on the spirit is the partner of the hands that render nourishment to the body. Assistance, medication, teachings are holy modalities of the generous charity in the projects of the good. They are different aspects of the same virtue. They entangle and complete each other in a dignified unity. Well, so he goes on developing this reasoning, but then at the end of the sentence, at the end of the lesson, he says, the charity of thinking, speaking, and acting according to the Divine Master's teachings in the Gospel. This is the charity of living in Him so He can live in us. So he calls attention to this benevolent charity, right? Because he said that all charity that's beneficent, without getting into the benevolent charity, will lack something very important to you, to yourself. So he ends saying, without that charity, benevolent charity, we can carry out great external works, reach invaluable intermediation in our favor, spread outstanding physical works of charity. But within us, in the supreme moments of our testimony in the faith, will be empty and miserable in the condition of beggars of light. Wow. This is such a strong sentence. So do I have to stop being charitable if I'm not feeling? No, that's not pathway. The Christian pathway, Spiritist Christian pathway, is not that. It's not, okay, I will just do good if I feel that it is coming from my heart. According to the Spirit, and I have to agree, you need to keep doing charity how much you can. Because it's much better if you do something, even with underground interests. Oh, I'm doing charity because I'm afraid of the lower zones. I'm doing charity because I have nothing more interesting to do. I'm doing charity. Now, continue, go on doing, right? But be careful to search for your inner side and understand and kind of make a self-analysis to understand if you have been really being charitable in mind, in feeling, in words, and in acts. And this situation we've been living has, in my opinion, one of the reasons these things are happening is for us to get in touch with ourselves, because we can be very badly surprised on the other side of life, since many times we just keep doing on the outside, but if we're not paying attention to our spirit, right, can be a trouble for us to face, and a bad surprise, because you thought, come on, I was so good. André Louise was in a situation like that, remember? I thought, well, come on, I had a normal life as a doctor and this and this and that. Why did I stay in the lower zones for so long? It's because many times we don't have this care, this careful attitude of searching for our deeper feelings and our deeper intentions when we practice even charity. Thank you very much for listening. See you next video.